Distance. Great to have you with us on Intruders TV Music.
Cheers, man.
Now, you're mixing the next Dubstep Allstars compilation. How does it feel to be part of that mix series?
Yeah, I feel quite privileged to be doing it just because of the history with the whole compilation. You know, it's obviously the first time the word dubstep had been used on a product, if you see what I mean. It was due to Hatcher, really. So yeah, it's kind of been there right from the beginning to now, and yeah, they've always picked up really strong DJs. So yeah.
Of course, the compilation is out on Rinse FM. How much influence do you think Rinse FM has had on dubstep?
Yeah, I think they've had a lot, you know, quite a big influence on the whole scene, really, because they're one of the first pirate stations to, you know, have dubstep DJs on there. You know, and that was before, you know, again, it had even been labelled dubstep. You know, we were just playing this like dark, weird garage sound, if you know what I mean. So yeah, you know, maybe if they weren't there back then, willing to give it a chance, you know, and allowing us to join the station, that it may not have reached as many people as it has done, you know.
Obviously, dubstep has become a lot more mainstream these days. The people like Chase and Status producing dubstep, and even things like UKF pushing dubstep out there. How do you feel about that shift?
It brings more people to the sound, you know, and I think anything that's going to make it bigger is a good thing, you know, but it's just, I think you're going to get a bigger separation, you know. I think you're always going to have an underground scene of dubstep, and then you're going to have a mainstream side of dubstep. I think it's just that. I think there's producers who are like happy being underground and making what they're making, and then there's people who do both. I mean, I'm kind of in between. Like, I do make real underground music, but then, you know, I'm doing remixes for, like, you know, Jess Mills and Nicki Minaj and people, you know, which it's just kind of taking a whole different angle, you know. And I don't see those as strictly a distance track. They're me working with elements from someone else's track to make something else. Do you know what I mean? I'm not making a distance tune. It's a rework of their tune, but just my take on it, you know.
We sat down with Jess Mills recently to discuss her work with Breakage, but Nicki Minaj is profoundly pop music. How do you feel about working with that genre?
Yeah, to be honest, like, I heard a Nicki Minaj quite a long time ago. There was a track she did called like Massive Attack that wasn't very big. I don't think many people had heard about it, but I really, really liked it. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, like, who's this person? She's kind of like a new, kind of quirky Missy Elliott, you know, and the way Missy Elliott was really quirky and doing these weird videos and strange kind of tunes. You know, that's why I wanted to do the remix, you know, and it's rare, you know, not a lot of people get the chance to remix anything for Cash Money, which is their label, so it was quite, you know, a privilege to be able to do that as well.
It was cited as around 2006, 2007 where dubstep started to emerge. How involved with the scene were you before that?
Before 2007, I've been involved really since about 2003, maybe even late 2002. Like, started going to Forward, I think when it had just gone to Plastic People on Curtain Road. I can't remember when that was exactly, but so yeah, I was kind of there really from early on. You know, the first time I met Benga and Scream, they were 15 years old. You know, the first time I met Chef was the first time I went to cut a dub plate and he went to cut a dub plate. He just happened to be in the waiting room. So it's really funny, really. You know, we were all kind of there. You know, there's pretty good like 10, 15 of us that were all there right from the beginning, all kind of having that journey together, you know.
And what was electronic music like back around 2003 when you started to meet these people?
It was kind of, I mean, around that time I was getting into garage, you know, kind of like the, you know, and I really liked it, but there were these darker little elements coming up. They were a bit more moody, and that was the same time also when you had, you know, this style of music called 8-bar, which then become grime. You know, it was kind of just like these real simple loops. They were just like 8 bars of this, and then a slight change, and 8 bars of that, you know. And it was kind of playing it all together, like playing these dark sides of garage and this 8-bar together, and then like grime and everything. But then it just seemed over time, this kind of garagey sound all developed into, you know, a particular sound, and then that just happened to become dubstep, you know.
You cited Forward a couple of times, it was where you used to play your music. Do you think that was quite instrumental in the development of dubstep?
Definitely. I mean, you know, when we used to go there back in the day, you know, there weren't a lot of people. Like, I'd go there and there'd be maybe 20 people, 15 people, but you'd be sitting and be like, oh my God, that's that's like, you find out that's Mala from Digital Mystics, and then you find out that that's you know, oh, that's Plastic Man or Plastician, you know, and it was just kind of like that. And you got talking to them, and they're like, oh yeah, you know, and then it was just kind of swapping beats and talking about what's going on, and then they'd be like, oh well, I'm trying to do a little night here, do you want to come along? And it was all about us helping each other, like going to support each other. We did these small nights and just really trying to build it into something, you know. We didn't really care if it was successful, it was just to make it more of a scene than what it was, you know. At the time it was just Forward, and that was it, you know. In the whole of England it was just Forward, you know, and that was once a month. So
Were you involved with music before you started producing garage and getting into this dubstep thing?
I was actually a metaler before that, and I played guitar in like metal bands and stuff from, I mean, I started playing guitar when I was 11, and then just went from there really. I was into like, you know, loads of bands. I started off with like Guns N' Roses, then Metallica, like Pantera, Sepultura, just like everything. And then I don't know really, like I used to look at electronic music as a joke. I was just like, oh, it's buttons, it's not music. Do you know what I mean? I was really like, all my friends at school went to jungle and stuff like that, and I used to laugh at them. I was like, what are you doing listening to this shit, you know? So it was quite funny. But then it wasn't until I kind of went to college really that I met, you know, new friends and kind of heard a bit more of different styles of music, and I was like, actually, you know, this is all right. And some of the metal bands I was listening to at the time were incorporating, you know, kind of like soft, you know, like samplers and drum machines and stuff into their production. So I was like, oh, you know, actually it's worth having a little look at this. And then that was it really. From there I kind of then started going raving. So I never even went raving before that. It was all going to live concerts, you know. And so,
I sense there's a little bit of common ground between the two of us, because I was listening to the Great Southern Trendkill by Pantera last night. It's so raw, and that energy is just infectious, you know. Yeah. But when did you see the crossover between the stuff that you were doing as a metalhead and the stuff that the dubstep scene was doing?
I don't know really. I mean, with my production, I've always, especially in the early days, it was all about live drums, and it was all about having the same feel as kind of like a metal track. I think the first time I probably really went deep into it was when I did My Demons, because that was kind of like the first time that I felt that I could do all the things I wanted to do. Like, you know, my production had got to a level where I was happy enough to try and just make whatever I wanted to make, rather than what was expected to be made, you know.
So you had your debut album My Demons out on Planet Mu in 2007, and you followed that up with your second album the following year. Mm-hmm. And obviously we've discussed the Dubstep Allstars and then the Nicki Minaj and Jess Mills remixes. What's next?
What's next? Well, I've put quite a lot of focus on my label. Like, I've started to sign some artists, you know. Chest Plate was strictly just for my own production, so there's that kind of happening. There's a few new artists, or the artists I've signed is like Tonnage, Cyrus, District and Sleeper, who all make stuff which I think fits with what I'd released already. Plus I'm just doing my, you know, I've got more remixes coming up that I'm doing, and also maybe... Are you
working on an album at the moment?
I'm just working, I mean, I'm not particularly for an album, but I'm constantly writing. I've got loads of material sitting there. You know, there will be a release coming out soon, that's all I can say.
And what about Chest Plate? Are you going to be putting out your own stuff on your label, do you think?
Yeah, there'll be a few singles on there. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's trying to, you know, the next thing I'm trying to do, I'm trying to work on another single for Island Records at the moment. So it's just, you know, getting vocalists and the right tune and everything like that.
Well, Distance, it's been very insightful chatting to you this afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.